our lives, I think both is needed, right?
Both
like,
what?
Both that brother relationship where you can have somebody to talk to and vent to, but also that professional relationship where you can vent to and talk to. Because like I have a cavity in my mouth right now, and Will's be like, yo, when I had a cavity, yo, you know what I'm saying, I put my Orajel in there, that's gonna help me a couple of days, and it might be temporary, it's something, but if I need to get to the root of that, and I look at that like that, like I need a root canal. Will can't perform a root canal on me, but I can go to a professional who's trained in that, who can perform that root canal. And I think as we get to, we talk about those serious things, like for somebody losing a home might be okay, that hurt, but somebody else who almost lost their wife, that can be traumatic, right? So it's levels of trauma, and I think in dealing with trauma, it's important that you have professional relationships where you can once a month, or as much as your finances allow you to, without like, you know what I'm saying, breaking you, to go and talk to someone for an hour or two and get some stuff off your chest and help, and let that person from an outside view step back, take like a 30,000 view look down into what's going on and help you navigate and let you know, like, man, you know what I'm saying, give some professionals, you know, to help in those advice and all of that. Because I can honestly say, like, if it wasn't for me seeing a counselor, like I've been seeing a counselor for almost 2 years. You know what I'm saying? I started seeing myself, then my wife and I, we joined, I was seeing the counselor together. If it wasn't for that, my marriage would have been gone. Like, I would not be the man that I feel like I'm becoming, that I have become to this point in my life. A lot of things would be different for me, bro, if it wasn't for that professional relationships. And I had dope brothers like Will, like some other guys that I know that were around me. But having that counselor there was almost like we were saying earlier. It's like I realized how much this relationship is needed, like in society, in our lives. We're not taught that. You know, like it's a stigma to that. It's a oh, you must be going through something. Like you fucked up. Like it's like one of those things. It's like it's one of those things. And it's like it's not really that, bro. It's like we need that as much as I feel like we need that daily checkup with the doctors. That so
true. I mean, man, and you talked about trauma. Trauma is so real that it changes DNA. They found a study that it changes your DNA and it's passed on. You can pass on trauma through your DNA to your kids. Now, through counseling, you can reverse it. But trauma gets so deep that it's in your DNA, man. And so, you know, when you see people who've experienced these traumatic events, and like you said, trauma is different for everybody. But when somebody experiences trauma, their self-care and their self-love is destroyed. And that professional help is necessary.
Yeah. Which is why I really believe that it is very necessary for black men, black women especially, for black men, because there's all men in here, but black women especially need professional counseling. And when I say professional, I don't mean that somebody went to school for it, but professional for me means like you have tried experience in this, like you have a number of cases where you have suggested things or you have learned several things from different studies that allow you to have an understanding of this thing that's deeper than just your homeboy or even your mom. Like you have concentrated on this, and to me that makes you a professional that you can give counsel to somebody with. But for black people, all of us come into this world with trauma, and all of us are impacted with trauma as we grow. But for black people and what our history has been in this country, you know, we have a lot of glory in our genetics also from before the slave trade. So there's glory deposited there that once it is like tapped on, it's like, oh,
it's there.
That's there. Yeah, like I knew something was there.
Yeah.
But also, slavery has passed down so much trauma to us, and then the conditions that we had to live in after slavery through Jim Crow and white flight, all of those things put us in these conditions that have allowed us to be able to do some wild things.
because all this trauma has been passed down. So when you see that young man running down the street on Instagram, busting off at the police and taking shots to himself, like what I was saying to you was, most people look at this and like, yo, he's fucking stupid. Why did he do that to himself? And I'm looking at it like, damn, I can't believe he did that to himself. Like, I cannot believe that he had that, his value of himself was that low that he was willing to throw it away in a gunfight that he could not win. Like, he knew he couldn't win it. He said it before he started licking shots and they were actually being shot back at him in the video. He said, I'm dying today. While giving shout outs to his mother and his children. So the ability for a man to be able to do something like that, to me, speaks to all of the trauma that has been passed down to him. If we bring up historical text, the Bible says the sins of the father visit the children to the third and fourth generation. And so if the sins visit you to the third and fourth generation, how much, like, why not the trauma?
Yeah.
They say that there are studies where a rabbit was tested, where they would zap a rabbit before he went to eat something. This rabbit then got pregnant. They did not zap the rabbit while it had the babies in utero. But when the babies came earthside, the babies knew better than to touch what the mother had been zapped for in her life. So that stuff is passed down. So for me, when you see us, especially in the climate that we're living in right now, when you see us getting worked up, when you see us being fragile, when you see us being like pissed off, I think it's because we are being reconnected with old traumas that we didn't even know that were there. But the climate that we're living in is bringing that shit up.
Sugar.
And so without having professional help, without having homeboys to hold you accountable, without having these things, you're seeing us medicate. You're seeing us kill each other. You're seeing us kill other people. And most of all, we just destroy ourselves. So I really think for the black community, it's imperative that we figure out how to get mental health information to our people. And I think that it's important that those of us that have it hold space and not allow those stigmas that, oh man, you soft, oh man, you going crazy, oh man, everybody got those like allowing things to be normalized to the degree that you don't deal with this stuff. Because I know I've allowed things to be normalized in my life, and it has kept me from doing certain things. Because it's like, you know, I literally have been around gunfights, and it's like, I go to bed, wake up the next morning, and go to work. Like, because that shit is normalized to the degree, like everybody go through that type of stuff. That shit is traumatic.
Yeah.
Like, that shit'll kill you.
Can I tell you something funny? I have a homegirl. So in college, me, my homegirl Sinead, my homeboy Dre, we went out to a party. End of the party, they start busting off. We all run, we hide. We laughing like, yo, that's crazy. We haven't seen each other in years, right? First thing we say, yo, you remember that time when they were shooting at us? They were shooting at the party, we had to run up behind. And it's funny because we don't even realize, like, yo, you were part of something traumatic because it was so normalized. Yeah. We laughing like, yo, you remember that time when we ducked behind the car and where we was driving or where we stayed, and we had to go find him, and then we went to IHOP. Literally, we went after the fact. Nobody went to bed and was like, yo, I'm nervous. Like, we got something to eat.
Yeah.
And we laughed about it like, yo, that was crazy.
Now, what I want to add to it is, I'm not saying that nothing is supposed to happen to you. Like, we are all going to have our trauma. Seeing your homeboy get stomped out or stomping somebody out. Like, all of us are going to go through stuff that this life and this society has just put in front of us. The issue is not being able to process the trauma. That's the issue. Trauma is going to happen. You ain't gonna be able to pay your rent. You might see your mom getting her head bust by your daddy or her boyfriend. Like, all this stuff can happen to all of us. The issue is when we don't process it, when we don't have some help. One, to know that it's not normal. Like, you shouldn't have had to go through that. And the fact that you have gone through it makes you different. It shapes you different. And so you need to know that that's true. And you need to know how to now move through that, how to accept that part of you, how to mature that part of you so that it doesn't stay stuck back there always trying to protect you. Because that's what it's going to do. That experience taught me how to navigate the world. So whenever I see that experience again, I'm going to do whatever it takes not to allow that experience to have the effect on me that it had before. Whether that's fight it or run from it. But if you actually embrace it, you can grow beyond it, and you can steal a power back from it that it had over your life. And so that's where having help, learning about trauma, to me is important, because we all have trauma. Ben isn't short of trauma because he's white. His trauma is relative to his situation. My trauma, if we put it on some scale, the trauma of a black man may be greater than the trauma of a white man. But if all a white man knows is the white man's existence, then it's still relatively horrible to him, just as mine is relatively horrible to me. So I'm not weighing them on the scale in that way. I'm saying that as black people, we have had so much happen to us that has been normalized that it has made us a different type of callous. I think white people have that same sort of callous that they have to work through. It just comes from a superiority standpoint, where ours may come from an inferiority standpoint.
So, can I ask two questions?
Yes, sir.
The first one is, so as it like I was thinking about my own experience when we were talking earlier about substance abuse and stuff like that. Most of the time, people appreciate a counselor who can relate to them. One of the issues that I read about in the black community is that there's a very small percentage of counselors that are actually
black.
Like alarmingly small,
Yeah.
5% of them, something really low like that. So is that, do you guys find that to be an obstacle for?
It's huge. It's a huge obstacle. One of my best friends, man, had to see a counselor because he was in a car accident. And I won't go into details, but they gave him a counselor, and he was like, I don't want to see this person. And they're like, why not? They're like, because it's white. They're like, yeah, but this is about your injury. He said, I'm not comfortable talking with this person. And, you know, being comfortable with somebody, you can't get better if you're not comfortable telling this person what happened.
There's got to be a
I think preference matters, but I don't think preference is defining. Like, I think, like, we all have our personal preference of what we prefer. I'm able to realize that, hey, listen, I can't, in every area of my life, it can't look the way I want it to look. So I can't deny a safe passage home because I want the yacht boat. You know what I'm saying? If a banana boat comes by, I have to grab onto that and try to work to get back home, if that's what's offered to me, right? So I'm fortunate enough to have people like Will in my life who I relate to, who knows my struggle, who knows me almost better than I know myself at times, who I can just talk to, who can help me analyze things from a relatable standpoint. But also, I also have to take in mind that I also appreciate the relationship with my counselor who can't relate to me, who's a white male, you know what I'm saying, who doesn't relate to me at all, but who still can analyze my situation and speak right to it. And I'm like, yo, like, this is actually like meaningful to my situation, and it's shown that if applied, I have progress there. Like we can do work here in this area. So preference matters. I think for me personally, I try not to get hung up on it because again, like sometimes what you need is going to be packaged the way you hope it's packaged.
Oh, most definitely.
So, but to what you're saying about the black counselors, or to what Bill was saying about black counselors being a lot like, if I had it my way, my counsel would be black. You know what I'm saying? My counsel would be black. Not to get white counselors at all, but I feel like because of the relatability factor, I would prefer that, right? But that's not the case, and I'm appreciative, and it also helped me to step out of my comfort zone into a place where I wasn't comfortable in sharing. To now, it's like I go in there, bro, I keep my feet up, and I'm super comfortable, and I can let stuff go, and I can be me, and I can be authentically me, whether I'm at my lowest or my highest, and let some stuff out.
Quick question. Do you have white friends?
Yes.
Did you grow up around white people? And
No.
no, but as
Well,
you got
I mean,
older,
later on in life I did, but like,
so you got comfortable with them. There are black people, go to Baltimore, they don't trust white people. And so,
and that's on both sides. 'Cause
and
there's
that is
probably
right.
people in it-
No, and it's legit
Yeah.
because cultural competence is one of the things that we're taught in social work. It's not necessarily about you need black counselors to counsel all people. You need black counselors to really help with the black people. But you also need white counselors to help with white people. Because if a white person's not comfortable with a black counselor, you're not going to tell them, well, you want to get help, right? You gotta be, no. They do, but they don't feel comfortable. So, and then we also have to have females. We need females. Now, there are more female counselors than there are males. But we need a lot of male counselors because men are like, I don't want to tell this woman my problems. Because what if it's a problem that I have with my wife? I don't feel comfortable sharing that with this woman. She's going to judge me in this way. And so that cultural competence is necessary. So going back to your question, because I know you have a second one, it impacts a good amount of black people. Because if they've never been in contact with white people, then they're like, I don't want to talk to this person. And if they had a negative interaction with a white person of authority, it is still, it gets put on as, well, this is a person with authority, and I'm not trying to talk to them. Same thing when you look at, like, immigrants, they're like, I don't want to talk to people who are in authority because I don't want to get deported because of what's going on right now in the country. Like, I'm wary of the people with whom I discuss certain things. And do you remember your second question? Because
Oh yeah.
we're talking wild.
Well, I think Will was getting ready to say something else too.
I was just gonna give my personal opinion. I think there is a gift and a curse to it. Like, at a point in my life, there was a need for outside validation. So I think counseling with a white person was helpful because their perspective just helped. But I think that also the curse can come in where it's like, yeah, but you can't really relate.
Yeah.
Like, you haven't walked through this type of existence. So at some point, I think it can become devalued. But I think just the law of attraction comes into play where it's like, you will receive what you expect. So if I sit down with a white person that is equipped, just as a white person, they are equipped to give professional help in this way, I can stay present long enough to filter through all of the
unrelatable factors.
yeah. to get some meat off of the bone.
Facts.
I think that that's possible.
Facts.
I think that that's work that everybody is not equipped to do, and so that's why it's helpful to have someone black that you can just straight up relate with, so you don't have to sift through all of this stuff. But it was helpful for me to counsel with a white person for a period, because they helped me see that this stuff wasn't normal. Where maybe if I sat with a black counselor, through their professional experience and through their social experience, they may have it normalized. They may normalize it in a way that isn't healthy. Not completely normalized because of their professional understanding, but still like that little hint of like, man, we all go through this. Where a white person just didn't say that at all. They didn't see that as normal at all. It's like, you tell me you didn't cry after that happened. You tell me it's like, was I supposed to cry after that?
Right.
That really made me see it as like, damn, I guess that was a traumatic thing, and I didn't
Yeah.
even know it. So it was helpful for me in that way.